Hello lovelies, welcome back to my booktube channel, Little Book Nerd. My name is Ashley, if you didn't already know that. Today I'm going to be doing my July and August wrap-up. Like my book haul, I'm combining the months of July and August because I honestly just didn't do that much reading in August. I am in a little bit of a book slump, so I haven't done a whole lot of reading this month. It pains me that I haven't done a lot of reading this month, but it's just the way it is. I'm having a rough month. A lot of things have happened at work that have really made me angry, and I'm in the middle of trying to find a new job. So, I haven't done a whole lot of reading this month. Basically, I'm still reading the books that I started at the end of last month. I did read one or two things this month, but for the most part, everything I read was in July, and I read some really interesting things. So, the first book I'm going to talk about that I read is Alanna, the First Adventure in the Song of the Lioness series. It is the first book of the series by Tamora Pierce. It is such an amazing book. I have it on ebook on my phone, and it's basically about a girl named Alanna who lives in this medieval-y kind of world where boys learn how to be knights and sorcerers and girls learn how to be ladies. And Alanna decides she doesn't want that. She doesn't want to learn how to be a lady. She wants to learn how to be a knight and save people and become the first female knight and everything. And so on the eve of being shipped off to their respective schools, Alanna decides that she is going to cut her hair and make herself look like her twin brother Tom, who doesn't want to be a knight, he wants to be a sorcerer. And it works out perfectly. You know, Alanna goes off to the palace to learn how to be a knight, and Tom goes off to learn how to be a sorcerer. The story basically follows Alanna as she makes friends, and she struggles to hide her identity as a girl while also struggling with her identity as a boy. It's just a really interesting story. And it has such a strong female character in Alanna that I love it. I'm obsessed with this book. I've read it like 12 times, and I'm rereading the series again. I recommend it to everyone. I gave it, I believe a 4 out of 5 stars, but I do highly recommend it. I love it. And the next book I'm going to talk about is one that literally everyone on BookTube read, and a book I'm obsessed with, that I still am obsessed with, and I love it to death. That would be A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is the sequel to A Court of Thorns and Roses. Court of Thorns and Roses, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. The first book is basically about a girl named Feyre who goes out hunting every day to feed her family. They live in a world where fairies inhabit about half of the world, but fairies live on the other side of this wall. And one day she goes out hunting and she accidentally kills a fairy, and as restitution she is brought to the fairy world to live in the house of a fairy high lord named Tamlin, as payment for her killing one of his men. This book, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. So I could give it a 10 out of 5 stars. If Goodreads would let me do that, I would. This book was beautiful. It looks freakishly long, but it's only like 600 pages, which again is long, but not the longest book I've ever read, but it was so good. I can't gush enough about this book. I love this book. Feyre is such an amazing character in this, and I don't want to give anything away because that would spoil things. She's such an amazing character, and Rhysand or whatever his name is, I don't know how to pronounce it. Something along those lines, I don't know, but he is now my official book crush. I love him. The third book I want to talk about, I own the book, but I lent it out to my brother, so I don't have it for this video, but it is A Court of... Wow! No, it's not. I just showed that book. The book is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. It is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. I rated this book 5 out of 5 also. I really enjoyed it. I thought the storyline was so interesting. It's definitely my favorite out of the series so far. I'm struggling with book 3. But it was just so amazing. If you ever read the first book, the series is basically about this assassin named is it Selena or Selena? Selena Sardothian, who is a world-renowned assassin who gets pulled out of her prison stint at the Endovier salt mine to join in this competition for the king to become the king's champion, and slowly, one by one, the competitors in the competition start to die off, and it's up to Selena to figure out how they're dying before she becomes targeted. And she's such an amazing character. I absolutely love her character. I absolutely love this series. And Selena's character development in the second book was amazing. And you get to see her struggle with something horrible that happens that I won't talk about because that would be a big spoiler. And you also find out some things that I can't even, like, I couldn't have even guessed at from the first book. So I'm a big fan of this series so far, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. Next book I read in the months of July and August, although really July because I didn't read like anything this month, was City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Mortal Instruments series. Ooh, look at the shine on that cover. Not my favorite series in the world. Honestly, I really have no feelings towards the series at all. I don't feel connected to the characters in the slightest. I don't feel connected to the world in the slightest. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars because it was interesting and there were places where I did really get engrossed in it, but for the most part I was just kind of reading it to get through it. And I know the Mortal Instruments is like everyone's favorite series, but I'm just not impressed with the series so far. It's an urban fantasy kind of series about a girl named Clary who discovers that there is a whole world of demons and magical creatures living in the world. She makes friends with these group of demon hunters called shadow hunters. Stuff happens. I don't understand why I don't like this series because it sounds like something I would love, and I don't. I can't really say much more about it. I'm just not a fan. And then the last 2 books I read in the months of July and August I own but don't have on me at the moment because they're both currently lent out. I read Fairest by Marissa Meyer, which is a novella for the Lunar Chronicles series. It basically is the story of Levana, who is the evil queen, basically, from the Lunar Chronicles. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I thought it was really interesting and I enjoyed reading it, but I just wasn't overly impressed by it. Honestly, my problem with the Lunar Chronicles novellas are that we know most of what happened in these novellas from what we saw in the Lunar Chronicles books. Like, we know Levana's story because Marissa Meyer did a pretty good job of giving us her story in the actual book. And it was interesting seeing just how everything happened in Fairest, but it wasn't anything new. And I did enjoy her writing and Levana's character and just seeing how truly crazy Levana was. Again, it wasn't anything surprising. It didn't have any twists or turns I didn't expect. It was honestly just it was a fun read, but not something I would reread ever again. So I gave it a 3 out of 5. 3.5 out of 5, I mean. And then the last book I read is currently lent out to my friend Sam, and it is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It is the 8th book in the Harry Potter series. I say 8th because some people are refusing to acknowledge it as canon, and I'm kind of caught in between the two camps because I wasn't the biggest fan of it, quite honestly. I had some problems with it, and I'm not going to do a full review on the book because it's been like a week or 2 since I read it, and I honestly just, I don't know, enough people did reviews on it that I'm not gonna bother doing a review on it. I did read it. I got out the midnight release, and I did read it, and I honestly, I read it the day after it came out, and it took me like 2 hours to read. And it was good. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed reading it. I rushed right through it. It was good while I read it, but afterwards I thought about it and I was like, not the best thing I've ever read. But I found the stage directions especially lacking, and a lot of times I wasn't really sure what was going on because stage directions weren't clear about what was going on, or the stage directions just weren't there. I wasn't really a fan of Albus's character. I thought that the plot twist at the end of the book was really predictable. I predicted it as soon as the character came into the book, and I don't know, it was a good book. I definitely give it like 3.5 stars out of 5, but it's not something I'm really ever going to reread again, I don't think. Although it did spark the interest in rereading the Harry Potter series, but that's about it. I just wasn't overly impressed with it. And those are all of the books I read during the months of July and August. I plan on doing a nice wrap-up for September. I plan on getting back into reading for September. Honestly, the only 2 books I can hold up for this are these 2 because the other 3 books I don't currently have with me. These and 4 more are what I read, and pretty good 2 months. I haven't done much reading this month, but I plan once this month is over, really getting back into reading. It's just this month has been hard. So I promise I will have a nice wrap up for September coming next month. Alright, that was my wrap up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!